So I want to talk about some of the irregularities that I have seen under Chief Justice Michael Gonzalez. So this is Chief Justice Michael Gonzalez, and I am using this as an analysis tool and for a creative process, but this is all going into the appeal. So I'm going to just read the reasons and then I'll get into the explanations in a second. Okay, so without further ado, Chief Justice Michael Gonzalez of the San Luis Valley. Chief Justice Michael Gonzalez. Now, he doesn't believe that ordinary San Luis Valley citizens are actually allowed to use Colorado's court system to remedy an injury done to them on their own. He doesn't believe in Article 2, Section 6 or Article 2, Section 13. I don't know if he even believes in Colorado's Bill of Rights, in spite of the six figures that we, the taxpayers, pay him annually. The reason why I say this is on September 28th, 2022, he refused to see 5 felony complaints that I had worked hours on due to ex parte reasons. Ex parte meaning I'm not a cop or a lawyer, I'm just a citizen. I'm just a poor peasant, a little nobody, working class nobody. So basically he's saying he only protects the cops and the lawyers, and there's only, 46,000 and some change people, so that means what? A couple hundred people? How many lawyers and cops are there? And they're the only ones represented. And then not even all the lawyers. That one guy got 11 years. So not even the lawyers and cops are represented. But when it comes to the bulk of the people, 46,000 people in the SLV don't have any access to a court system. Why? Because of the Chief Justice of the SLV. If there's one person who runs SLV, who's in charge around here, it would be Michael Gonzalez. Whether he realizes it or not, he sets the standard. He sets the culture for every single county in the SLV, all 6 counties. Mineral County, Rio Grande, Alamosa, Conejos, Costilla, and Saguache. So he sets the culture for each and every one of them. And if he gave a damn about all the crimes and he was, really concerned about major crimes that are happening, and he was like, he doesn't care about 46,000 souls. Why? Because they're not a cop and they're not a lawyer. So if they go straight to him and they say, hey, I got a felony complaint here. Not only did I witness all this, but I took all the time to read the laws and then fill the forms out. And here, can you see this? And he goes, no, I don't want to see it. While I'm, in front of him, even if I'm convicted for firing a couple warning shots on September 17th, 2021, you're still not allowed to commit crimes against me. Not from before, not afterwards, not now, not tomorrow, not ever. You're not allowed to commit crimes against anybody. So Michael Gonzalez had suggested that instead of using the criminal justice system, that instead I should file a civil suit, right? Over or a restraining order instead. And I'll think about that, but ultimately, he's denying me the use of the 12th Judicial Branch's criminal justice system. Article 2, Section 6 says we all have a right to use the court system for to remedy an injury and to do it without delay, without sale, denial, or delay. So he's depriving me of the criminal justice system, and I heard that it was just a legal system, so it's just a big game to these people. But could you imagine if we actually had a legal system where the chief judge gave a shit about the crimes that were happening? What, you heard somebody ran over your dog? They murdered the fuck out of your dog? They cracked his neck and there was blood all over the fucking place? It was psychotic and sick and criminal? Yeah, there's a shit ton of probable cause that, yeah, shit. Could you imagine a chief justice that actually took felony animal cruelty serious? Could you imagine a chief justice that didn't have an issue with a fair and even-handed trial? I turned in my motion for a fair and even-handed trial, and he had said earlier that he thought all my motions were just throwing whatever I could at the wall to see what sticks, right? Well, see, I had an advisor, and my advisor, it's a privileged person, and they seem to think that they can kind of get away with anything and everything, but not for sure if it's the gender or what's going on here, because I was not throwing whatever at the wall to see what sticks. I wanted a fair and even-handed trial, and I want to make sure that I got a fair and even-handed trial. I've been calling for a fair and even-handed trial for over a year now. So he's thinking I'm just trying to get off the hook. I'm looking at the bigger picture. I want to raise my children in an abuse-free household in a crime-free neighborhood in a civil society. That's all I've been doing for basically my entire adult life. For over 20 years now. And I'm going to raise my children in an abuse-free household in a crime-free neighborhood in a civil society. Whether anybody likes that or not. Now, I've had over 12 appearances. There's been over 12 appearances. So that's interesting that he seems to act like he cares about felony menacing so much that he's going to have me keep coming back over and over again. Since I don't have police protection, I have to pay somebody from Kentucky to watch over my place when I go to court. I got to drive an hour to go to court over 12 times. There's Consilja and Consilja. They were pissed off at Michael Gonzalez because they said Michael Gonzalez keeps on making Consilja and Consilja come back all the way to the San Luis Valley over and over again. I guess they're not used to that. Only 3 or 4 times, but Michael Gonzalez keeps on bringing them back, and they charge $4,500 per court appearance. $4,500. And when I told him that was the cost, he basically said, why don't you just do a plea bargain? I mean, he's been saying it. He's been calling the complainant the victim over and over again. He would be the alleged victim. But now that we got a new DA, he's trying to paint the perspective of the new DA. So even though I've had felony menacing on top of felony menacing on top of felony menacing that happened to me, nobody seems to be taking any of that serious. I can't believe that y'all give a shit about felony menacing. You're just trying to fuck me over. You don't give a shit about felony fucking menacing. Are you fucking kidding me? Michael Gonzalez told me, you can't say that to me. I told him he read a sentence in CRCP wrong regarding the preliminary hearing. So he's elitist. Not only does he, 46,000 people, you're just a peasant, you're not a cop or a lawyer, so you can't turn in a complaint. You can't turn in a complaint. When Andre Psycho Barrows, when, those people started going missing, if they want to turn in a complaint, Michael Gonzalez would not have listened to him. You're just a citizen. You're just a poor peasant. I don't want to hear from you. You go get a lawyer, or you find a cop who you can convince. And if you can't get a lawyer or find a cop that you can convince, then Michael Gonzalez isn't going to do anything. And then look at that mustache. His mustache fell. Look at that Hitler mustache. It fell down to his chin. So is it any shocker that this is a right-wing authoritarian? Also, if you go around fucking over the lawful people who respect planning and zoning, if you go around fucking over the people who paid for the planning and zoning permits, then aren't you just creating the conditions for the right-wing movement to come back? You're fucking over the lawful people. You're fucking over the planning and people that respect planning and zoning. Why would you do that? He says, you can't say that to me. What do you mean I can't say that to you? I can't read the law. Don't you want the 46,000 people reading the laws, knowing the laws, obeying the laws? He's acting like he gets a monopoly on knowing the laws. That's the internet age. What? Thou should not steal, too. His buddy, Robert Willett, went ahead and took $1,500 and he went ahead and, got helped him with that. Oh, there was no prosecutorial merit or some bullshit. You can't say that to me. Why? Because you're part of the permanent prosecutorial class? And what? He needs to maintain a permanent prosecutorial class, so that way, in order to maintain a permanent prosecutorial class, he's got to have a permanent criminal class. This isn't about justice. This isn't about peace. This isn't about truth, justice, and peace. It's just a game. It's just a game. You can't say that to me. Well, I did say that to you, and the minimum jail sentence for a Class 5 felony is 1 year in jail. Robert Willett was faced with a Class 5 felony. Therefore, if a jury thought he was guilty, Robert Willett should be sitting in jail for a year. And there's a minimum fine, too. You get a preliminary hearing if there's a minimum jail sentence. And there's a minimum 1 year in jail. You think Michael Gonzalez knows that? He did not know that. He read the sentence, and there's an or, and then another or. There's like 3 categories. He made some oral argument saying that he had discretion or something. I don't know. Now, Marco Gonzalez, he's just not a fair judge. He doesn't believe in being fair and even-handed. Marco Gonzalez, one of the 12 times that I had gone to San Luis, he just started slapping motion down after motion down on the desk in order to provoke me. No, I'm going to reject this motion, reject that motion, reject this motion. He wanted to provoke me so I could say something contemptible and then he could throw me in jail. I asked him if he wanted to convict me and he kind of, stumbled a little bit. He said no, but clearly he's been trying to fatigue me in order to do a fucking plea bargain. I've already asked for a motion to dismiss. And it's been over 12 months, meaning if I had, read the rules properly and I was ready, the first 6 months I could have did the motion to dismiss. And I could have done it in 12 months. But he's playing these stupid games. He's getting me to waive my right to a speedy jury trial. And I told him it was the last time. He keeps on acting like he's got my back, but why would he fuck me over motion after motion? I want a fair jury trial. The reason why he was slapping motion down after motion, I worked a lot. I worked really hard on that. And I had a different oral argument with the grand jury motion than what I had written down. So I wish that Marco Gonzalez actually would have heard me out. But he don't have time. He don't have time for that. And then that it's crooked. Why wouldn't he keep that thing straight? I had a different oral. So he didn't give me a minute. He didn't give me 30 seconds. He didn't give me 10 seconds to hear me out. He's trying to silence me, trying to shut me up. And I think that Marco Gonzalez did this for retaliation. Why? Because I raised my voice at Shelly Quintana. Shelly Quintana wasn't going to file my motions. She was going to fuck me over again. She fucked me over the first time. Tecumseh was murdered. And she said, go talk to another cop. I talked to the other cop, and he said he wanted to talk to the first cop. Okay, well, that didn't work out. And then she said she'd give it to Kim Wood, and then how did she give it to him? Like, hey, you should, take a look into this and get him to testify. Or did she roll her eyes when she just sent an email? She gave it to her, so I got to give her credit for that. And the culture that Shelly Quintana is coming from, Marco Gonzalez didn't want to hear the felony complaints. I did so much work. I read so much stuff. So not only, my God, all the complainant had to do was call the police, and then he was just believed. I've had to do a million goddamn things, and I'm still not fucking getting any. I raised my voice at Shelly Quintana because she wasn't going to file my motions. When I raised my voice, she filed the motions. But when I told her that Tecumseh was murdered, well, she acted like she was the victim. She stands off to the side. I'll talk a little bit more about this, but it's interesting because Shelly Quintana, I got mad at her. That's not a crime. File the motions. You're sitting there, well, you didn't do it this way. You're acting like you're the judge, jury, and executioner. You're the clerk. You're the conduit. You're the clerk. You're the conduit. So file the papers. What are you sitting there acting like you're the jury? You're going to sit there and look at the evidence and do all the criminal procedure right then and there? She was trying to fuck over my motion, saying I didn't do a thing right. And then when I listened to her and did the thing differently, because she made me change it, I thought she made me change it incorrectly. She was sabotaging me. Just like she sabotaged me with the justice for Tecumseh. When you go and say, hey, Kim Woods, can you take a look at this? Did you say, hey, can you, be serious about this one? Or did you just roll your eyes? So why did Marco Gonzalez fuck me over with the motions that I'd worked hours and hours and hours on? And you can't file a felony on somebody without a grand jury indictment. But Marco Gonzalez, he doesn't. That's the U.S. Constitution. He doesn't read the Colorado Constitution or the U.S. Constitution. And I wanted a preliminary hearing so I could ask a few goddamn questions. But no, 5 cops really want to fuck me over, and they went ahead. Well, the Soto, I got some theories for why it went down that way. But it has to do with Tecumseh. And it has to do with the person that killed Tecumseh. And since they know the person that killed Tecumseh, they're going to try to make me look like the asshole. Even though I've had to endure fucking stalking and goddamn just spotlighting, fucking drive-by, stop and goes, acting like people are gonna drive and what? I have to walk all the way out there 3,000 feet to get into a fist fight. God damn, man. So Michael Gonzalez needs to show off for Shelly Quintana. So that's interesting. Shelly Quintana has this entire $1 billion system. I'm not even allowed to get mad at her when she was going to fuck over my emotions. That's not a crime. But motherfuckers are allowed to commit crime. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. So when I told, when Tecumseh was murdered and there's, some drive-bys, attempted murders, 5 felony complaints, and he just shrugged his fucking shoulders. He don't give a shit about crime. He don't care about victims' rights. Over 12 times I've had to go to court. Not one time did Michael Gonzalez ever mention a single victim's right to me. Not a single victim's right to me. So murder in Tecumseh happened June 1st, 2020. September 17th, 2021 is when I'm going to get charged. This is after dozens and dozens of times after I called the police and they just shoved a thumb up their asshole and didn't do a goddamn thing about any of the fucking crimes that were happening. Michael Gonzalez is not a fair judge. Michael Gonzalez is not a fair judge. I mean, it's okay for you all to snap my puppy's neck, but I'm not allowed to raise my voice. It's okay for you to do drive-by shootings and to kill my best friend, murder my best friend, blood all over the goddamn place. But if I raise my voice and I'm the bad guy, she was going to fuck me over. And when I raised my voice, she did what I said. And I guess, but still, what the fuck? So no matter what, I get fucked, right? If Shelly Quintana doesn't want to file the motions, I get fucked. If I tell her to do it and she does it, she'll complain. And then he'll fuck me over later. Grand jury, you can't put a felony on somebody without a grand jury indictment. And you're not even going to give me a preliminary hearing? He's just going to fatigue me. Robert Willett, he got a special prosecutor, did a whole thing for Robert Willett. What happened to that? Alonzo Payne accused him of stealing $1,500. Thou shalt not steal. That's a law in Colorado. Michael Gonzalez doesn't seem to know that either. That's been good law since Moses. That's been good law since the Ten Commandments. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not. Whole bunch of good stuff in the Ten Commandments. So he's like, oh, you can't say that to me. You don't even know what due process is. So again, he's just saying shitty things to get me to content myself. Objection, sir. You're contempting your own court. You don't even give a fuck about crimes. What kind of court doesn't care about felony crimes? And he can ask the DA, how come you didn't file this and that and this? Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. How's he going to pursue justice when he keeps his head in the sand? How's he going to pursue justice when he closes his eyes and puts his fingers in his ears and goes, la, 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 don't see nothing, don't hear nothing? If I was the chief judge and somebody got, if he moved into my neck of the woods and I'm the chief judge and he was getting harassed and his puppy got murdered and he was getting stalked over and over again. But ultimately what happened is the first person, we'll just say the friend of Noble Havens, he goes there. The friend of Noble Havens isn't going to do nothing, and then Soto Cruz ain't going to do nothing, and then Danny Sanchez isn't, and then Kim Woods, and then Quintana. Nobody's going to use this $1 billion fucking justice system on my behalf. Tecumseh didn't fucking deserve it. Even if you don't like me, why did you murder my fucking dog? You snapped his fucking neck. You snapped the fuck out of his neck, man. And then after the cops did nothing and shoved a thumb up their asshole, then crimes kept coming and happening and nobody did shit. So you're allowed to do major fucking felonies against me. But if I raise my voice, then I get deprived of the whole fucking system. What if Shelly Quintana gave a damn? What if Michael Gonzalez gave a shit? And they're like, wait a second, there's a felony that happened. I give a shit about that. No, I'm going to get some of the cops and the lawyers that, I know of to take a look at this. No, I'm not going to fuck you over and try to bury you because I like the other guy better. We're not going to pick a permanent fucking prosecutorial class and a permanent criminal class. No, rule of law says nobody commit crimes against anybody. It doesn't matter if you're friends and family. That's corruption. If you only protect your friends and your family, that's corruption. You don't even know what due process is. He doesn't know what due process is. Due process is what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So if Michael Gonzalez comes into my neighborhood, I'm the chief judge, and he got his fucking dog ran over, and then people are doing drive-bys, and they're doing stop and goes, and they're spotlighting him, and they're still fucking doing it, even after 2 fucking years. Even after Michael Gonzalez, well, he didn't look at the thing, so he don't really know what the hell's going on. He's staying ignorant, because ignorance is bliss. Maybe if you just keep your eyes closed, maybe the criminals will just walk away on their own. Maybe if you just don't listen and don't see and just go la 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 la. They're playing fucking legal games. If you're able to afford a lawyer, then you could just commit. Or if the cops don't want to arrest, you could just commit whatever crimes you want. That's fucking bullshit. Could you imagine a chief judge that cared about crimes and cared about the 46,000 people that was in his district? It doesn't matter if you're all the way out in Mineral County. Nobody can rape you. Nobody can steal from you. Nobody can hit you. Nobody can kill you. Even if you're just a poor schmuck out in the middle of Mineral County on food stamps and don't really help anybody do much of anything. Nobody's still allowed to commit crimes against you. $1 billion fucking system, $1 million judges, $1 million cops, $1 million DAs and courthouses, and $1 million and not even a penny's worth of justice. What the fuck? Michael Gonzalez was doing this. He was putting on a show for Shelly Quintana. You like this? You see how I'm disrespecting him? He disrespected you. Now I'm disrespecting him. She stopped the entire system from giving a shit about my poor little puppy. What the hell did Tecumseh ever do to any one of you? And since nobody knows nothing, the killer of Tecumseh is public enemy number one in the San Luis Valley, is he not? Somebody said a Jamaican. Yeah, a Jamaican came out of the fucking clouds, out of nowhere, just dropped down. How fucking crazy and insane and pretty racist, isn't it? Isn't that racist? Yeah, well, I don't know who it was. I think it was some Jamaican. It was 2 white males and it was local. That's what I say. There's actually 3 witnesses, eyewitnesses, but I'm the eyewitnesses, who came forward. So again, Michael Gonzalez, he don't give a shit about a fair trial. He's trying to provoke me. He tried to fuck me over just this last time. He tried to entrap me. He said, oh, you can have a break. Hey, you can have a break. Just, step outside the courtroom. I thought maybe he was getting tired of me. But then when I came in, all these cops are like sniffing all over me. Michael Gonzalez said you could get a break so I could go out to my car and smoke some fucking marijuana, go out to my car and do some meth, fucking tie off right there and do some heroin, get my fix right there at the courthouse. It's entrapment. It's fucking bullshit. And it just shows you the shenanigans and shit that they're willing to fucking try to fuck me over. You don't even know what due process is. Well, you're a piece of shit. You could be a dickhead to me in court and I'll just have to fucking take it, but I get to speak my mind and this is to help me with the appeal. This is not fair. None of this stuff is fair. And when you see all this together, compiled like this, you don't know what due process is. You can't say that to me. How do you know what I know and what I don't know? Well, ex parte, you're just a citizen. When's the last time you read any of this stuff? There's new laws that's being put out there every time. Nobody's read the whole Constitution. Nobody's read all the laws. Are you still updating? Are you still educating yourself? He called the other person the victim. Well, shit, if he's the victim, then the other person must be the criminal, right? It's not the alleged victim. He's not being fair at all. He's trying to coat the perspective of the brand new DA. And he said the victim at least 4 times in open court. He said he didn't want to see the felony complaints because he was going to put it in the fresh eyes of the new DA. But he's sitting there telling them, make sure you take these subpoenas serious. So she spends all this time trying to fight my subpoenas and then didn't spend the time looking at these 5 felony complaints. He's trying to paint Patricia Engel's perception of me to be the same as his. They're trying to fuck me over, and ultimately, it's because Tecumseh was killed and the friend of Noble Havens. I got my suspects, but I'm not going to say who. Just the friend of Noble Havens. He came out there, talked to the person, and then he's covering it up right now. Noble Havens didn't tell me about my victims' rights. There's like 30 victims' rights. I'm going to wonder if Noble Havens would testify that he told me the victims' rights. Because that would be a lie. So he's sitting there calling the complainant, KC, initials KC, a guy, the victim, because he's super biased and prejudicial. He don't want to hear the felony. He don't want to hear the shit that's happening to me because he wants to fuck me over. And then if they fuck me over, then they could say, see, he's the bad guy. And then what? All the fucking 100 fucking felonies that happened against me is just swept under the rug? No, Anne Frank is the bad person. Why? She got mad at her mother once. That's not a crime. And she doesn't deserve to go to fucking concentration camp and get syphilis and starve to death. He's calling Casey the victim because he's trying to paint Patricia Engel, the deputy DA, to Ann Kelly's perception. He's trying to fatigue me into accepting some fucking plea deal. Why? So the system can save a little face. He's cheater. He's cheating. He's a cheater. He wants the system to save a little face. Well, there was an arrest, and he's going to rubber stamp the arrest as if it's fucking God himself said that this is what happened. Meanwhile, I can't fucking prove anything to any motherfucking person. But if I was a cop and I just arrested somebody, then he would just put them through the wash. After Consilja said that they was going to charge me $4,500, and I said this in court, that I was working on getting Consilja, but they were going to charge me $4,500 per day. And he was like, well, I'll save you some money if you just do a deferred judgment, you know? Wouldn't you rather save money? Just what? And fuck over my fucking everything? The fact that, what, is that why he gets 6 figures? Does he think he gets 6 figures to fuck over good people? Because it doesn't seem like, I went in front of this one judge, traffic court. And since it's traffic court, it's not, the stakes aren't as higher. And so I think people are more honest. And so basically the judge could run traffic court, you know, without really any bailiff or jury or anything. But he was using their own conscience against them. What did you do? He wasn't saying, hey, you have a right to a jury trial. You have a right to subpoena. You have a right to an attorney. Michael Gonzalez has shown no empathy for my well-being or public safety the whole time, or stopping crime in general. I don't even know if he thinks murder is wrong. I tried to ask him if he was a Christian to get some sort of idea. I think that raping and stealing and violent crime and murder is wrong. And he'll say, of course I believe. No, you don't, motherfucker. When I tried to tell you that it happened, because, I mean, if you're there, if I see the thing, I have to, you know, jump in. But if you tell me later on, I'd want to know. I mean, how are you being ignorant and not knowing information, keeping you non-biased? You've been trying to fuck me over for the last year. You're not trying to stay non-biased. You're trying to maintain your prejudicial. You're trying to maintain your prejudice. You're trying to maintain your discrimination. And it was fucking crazy. Phil Greeny, after, you know, September 17, 2021, I got arrested and then I got bailed out. That motherfucker shows up to my house and he starts fucking with me the day after. So is that what we're going to do? We're going to try to... My only mistake was picking Costilla County. My only mistake was picking Michael Gonzalez's, you know, 6-county district. And respecting planning and zoning and, you know, being respectable. Robert Pickrell just wanted to keep on spotlighting and driving by and just doing crime after crime after crime. And we're all just going to... He flashed the light at Deputy Keith Schultz. But I thought frickin' Noble Havens would have testified to the swerve on the road, so hell, Deputy Keith Schultz might lie about that. I hope not. You'd like to think a cop... Why would you pick one side or another? And even if you pick the one side or the other, how are you going to deny any of the facts of the situation just because it goes against your buddies? And then how fucked up, if I would have chased the guy, I'm allowed to have a citizen's arrest. I could have arrested him myself. And if I would have chased the guy that murdered Tecumseh, you think Michael Gonzalez, I mean, they're all freaking out over a couple warning shots. So if I would have actually arrested the person that murdered Tecumseh and then just drug him into court, you're telling me that Michael Gonzalez would be like, oh, okay, I'll just rubber stamp this as if you're a police officer and we'll just go ahead and I have a right to make a citizen's arrest, and if he treats me, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. That's due process, Michael Gonzalez. Why would my arrest be any different than a police officer's, especially if I witnessed a felony? Why would it be any different?